Greetings, fellow shipwrecked survivors. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series covering Survival Fountain of Youth. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the setup of this scenario, please use YouTube chapters. Welcome everybody to a brand new series covering Survival Fountain of Youth. It is a open world single player game set in the Caribbean islands in the 16th century, and you play as an explorer where you craft tools and shelter and uncover secrets of both ancient civilizations and your own fate. I have in the description that this game reminds me a lot of Valheim, but instead of like Nordic and Viking mythologies, replacing it with, Central American, sort of like Aztec and Mayan-ish mythologies instead. And I'll be playing on the True Survivor setting, which means that there is sort of permadeath. It's sort of like permadeath plus, where you have a certain amount of deaths that you can die, and there's ways to replenish it. And I'm going to be only playing on normal difficulty, so that I don't have to min-max, and I can leave more stuff up to polling. And all the other settings will be set on default. I'm not going to skip the intro and tutorial, but if you do, you're given the alternative spawn point. And you can change the day-night duration. I'm going to set that to default, as well as the weather changing frequency. But if you wanted like a super realistic where like the day-night cycle is the same as real life, that would be weird. But you could do that or whatever else. This is the survival mode. So on Tourist, you can die an unlimited amount of times, whereas on True Survivor, it's 6. And using something called Living Water decreases the penalties. And then changing the difficulties change the living water amount. Gonna leave these like that. There is advanced settings if you really want to fine-tune everything. But like I said, everything else is going to be on default. So True Survivor, normal, and we're done.
This story is inspired by real events. According to historic records, on March 4th, 1513, 3 ships sailed from Puerto Rico. They were heading to faraway islands and were led by the famous explorer Juan Ponce de Leon. The goal of the expedition was to search for the legendary Fountain of Youth. It all began in Puerto Rico, when Governor Juan Ponce de Leon gave military support to the chief Gaibana in a war against other tribes. The Spanish soldiers quickly ended the war and restored peace. The grateful chief told Ponce de Leon an ancient legend of his people, a legend about Bimini, a hidden island lost in the sea. According to the legend, in the center of Bimini is the Fountain of Youth. Anyone who drinks from it will enjoy long years of health and youth. The chief also gave him an old map, covered with inscriptions in an ancient language. The map showed an uncharted group of islands. The location to search was clear, but the inscriptions were still a mystery to uncover. The captain believed in the legend and began to prepare an expedition. The best scientists and sailors of the New and Old Worlds volunteered to join his adventure. A total of 3 ships sailed off, the Santiago, the Santa Maria, and the San Cristobal. Ponce de Leon was sure that the ancient map would lead them to the fountain and bring them fame, wealth, and eternal youth. The voyage to the islands took an entire month. On the 30th day of the journey, the lookout spotted islands up ahead. They were the islands from the map. The expedition was just 1 day from its goal.
And the current priority is get through the tutorial. It's a rather long one, but it is very informative about how to play. So I am on one of the ships. and we are preparing for the council. That's an unfortunate spot for the new goals. That's a pop-up that doesn't stick around. But on the top right, you can see, go to the bow of the ship, and oh, this seems a bit too loud for me. And the bow would be the front, for those that aren't seamen. Alright, this is important, because this is the fundamentals of melee combat. When you hold left mouse button, you will charge up an attack. You can release it at any point. If you charge it up enough, it will enter the red. And when it enters the red, and you release it, not only will you attack, but you will block while attacking. And most critters lunge at you. So what you have to do is you have to charge up your block attack, and then release it right as they're lunging, so that you not only take damage, but then you damage them. Alternatively, you can press right mouse button to block, but honestly, that's probably not... That's a bit of a non-starter as far as combat goes. You probably want to be attacking, not just blocking all the time. So let's do this little fight. As you can see, the bar is filled up. It lunges at me. And I stab it. Seems easy, but when you're surrounded by enemy critters, it can be a little difficult at times. So we want to take the map, and this is the captain's map. So this is the map to the Fountain of Youth. Next task, go to the captain's cabin. El Capitan. So it's in here. And use the oil lamp. Place the map on the map stand. New goal, surviving the shipwreck. So take the grotto location map, which is this one. Expedition logbook. Ancient artifacts note. And then, in this old chest, we can take 2 items that are in here. I am going to take the leather backpack and the iron axe. And then hop out the window. Sorry, crewman, but you're on your own. I'm yeeting myself into the ocean.
Came out of nowhere. None of us were ready for it. Strong winds and giant waves blew up in a split second and crashed into the ship. The sails were torn apart and the ship slammed into the reefs. The sailors jumped from their bunks and tried to save the ship, but it was too late. I came to my senses on the sandy shore. My memories were gone. I could not even remember my name. But I was alive, and hoped that at least one of my fellow crew members had also escaped.
And we are washed up on shore. So this is the little tutorial island. And once I'm off this tutorial island, I will be offering you live viewers a little bit more agency about about what I do, but I have to get through this tutorial island to sort of kick off the rest of the game. Alright, I am... Find a green coconut. Here's one. Craft open a green coconut. So if you have a green coconut here, you can hit F for all the blueprints that a green coconut can offer you. And here is an opened green coconut, and this restores water. Eat the open green coconut, which is spacebar. Done. And here is all the blueprints that I currently know. And then the blueprints that are in shadow are blueprints that I could learn if I obtained the necessary material. So next task, harvest a small stick. So going up to this type of tree, I can hit E and click on the sticks here and harvest just the sticks. The other ones are tree bark, which is useful for lighting fires and also tanning leathers, but I don't necessarily need a whole lot of that right now, as carry weight is pretty limited. Alright, next task, harvest a stone. I'm going to harvest 3. It's also worth noting that when you exhaust a resource, it will regrow over time. And this is also true of trees. When you cut them down, they will leave a stump, and the stumps regrow unless you cut the stumps down. Next task, craft a stone axe. So we take the stick and the stone, and, well, we got a stone axe. There it is. Next task, harvest a long stick. So a long stick comes from these trees over here. And I'll take 3 of them. And you have to harvest them with your axe. So as you can see, the small sticks over here, I could harvest without an axe. I could harvest by hand. Tool, none needed, as you can see. Whereas these longer trees require a tool. And it uses up the durability of said tool. Next task, craft a wooden spear. So here's a wooden spear. It requires a long stick and 20 minutes. Alright, throw the spear and hit the crab while crouching. So I'm going to drag the spear to my weapons bar. Left control is crouch. Holding right click cocks back the spear. And then left click throws it. And I got the crab. Alright, build a campfire and craft a spindle fire starter. So, spindle fire starter is this one. It requires 2 small sticks. So there's the spindle fire starter. And then the campfire. And you could always type in for what you want to craft. So I'm going to craft a campfire just made out of sticks. So there's the campfire. And then we have to start the campfire. So in this screen, you can add fuel to the campfire, but there's already 3 hours and 26 minutes of fuel. And you can pick your fire starter over here. And then whether or not you use tinder. Tinder is going to speed up the process. So what I'm going to do is head over to these trees and collect some yellow leaves for tinder. Because yellow leaves will speed up the process of igniting this fire. And I got it first try. So we just cooked the crab. And now it wants me to craft something called mapping charcoal. So mapping charcoal, I'm going to craft 2 of them. Mapping charcoal allows you to map the area around you. I'm also going to eat the crab because my character was pretty hungry. Next task, harvest liana. So liana is a special type of vine which can be made into rope. And it's typically found on the banyan trees that have vines on them. And I'm actually going to harvest all of them because they are a relatively very useful resource that we want a whole lot of. Now it wants me to craft a rope with it. So if we go to the liana, here is the recipe for the rope. So it's the liana and narrow leaves, which I pick some off the ground. As you can see, they're kind of everywhere, and they're on the trees, and well, they're really truly everywhere. Next, find a cartographer tree. So a cartographer tree is these giant trees, these absolutely massive trees that allow you to map out the area around you. And we use the rope, look at the tree, and we create a rope ladder all the way up to a top, well, I wouldn't say top branch, but one of the branches of the tree. Mapping to find resources. Use mapping to find resources you need for crafting. Mapping will also help you find unique locations, native chronicles, and special objects like potions, notes, etc. You can map anywhere you want, but mapping from higher grounds will cover more territories. Use cartographer trees, mountains, hills, and build cartographer towers. Alright, so now that we're on this, this tree here, this is a great place to map. So to map, you just hit M and then spacebar to start the mapping process. And because we are so high up, we're 103 meters up, we have a very wide range. And we're going to use the charcoal we made on the campfire to map. So here we go. Now we can zoom in and we can see that there's coconut palms and liana trees and crabs and stone and starfish and long sticks. So it shows you the lay of the land. And not only that, but it also shows me some of the coast over there because we're so high up. So that is the advantage of mapping. And it's a really important mechanic because it's going to reveal strategic resources and story elements. So one of the main mechanics of this game is to kind of map everything. All right. It wants me to craft a primitive ship repair kit. So, a primitive ship repair kit is 6 small sticks and 2 narrow leaves. So let's get that going. There's the narrow leaves. And then we're going to go over to the pterodon, or whatever the plants are called over here, to collect the small sticks. Early on, fulfilling your food and water is a little difficult. It obviously gets easier as time goes on. My point being, collecting coconuts is a really good way to keep yourself fed pretty early on. Speaking of fed, character's a little hungry, so let's go pop a crab or two into the fire. That crab is like, hey, I just saw what you did. I'm freaking out. Alright, let's go add a stick to this and try to start it up. It failed. It failed. And there we go. Alright. I am going to build that repair kit and sail to the main island because I do not want to fall asleep on this island tonight. By choice. It's also a useful tidbit of information, which is crafting in the dark, you can wound yourself. You can cut yourself. So I use the remainder of the light from the campfire to craft the repair kit so that I could repair without hurting myself. But repairing this raft runs the risk of injury because it's so dark. So now I'm going to take this little raft over here and raft my way over to the main island. With that said, entirely plausible for you to swim it, but the game, the tutorial wants you to take a raft. So, raft we go! Trololero and Phantomus, thank you for the resubs, by the way. So this is the central island, which is called the Island of Hope. It's worth noting, you don't want to get too wet because there are some penalties being soaking wet, so I kind of leapt off the raft to stay dry. The game wants me to craft a bed. And here's a little bottle with a picture of the Buffalo region. Alright, let's go ahead and craft said bed. And I am going to place the bed over here a bit. Actually, you know what? My first bed I'm going to put into the grotto cave. So there's a cave over here that it will be good enough for a starter bed. So on the bottom right, you can see the location features. You don't necessarily want to sleep where there is wind, sun, or rain, as there will be penalties. The location features of this area said there's no pests, but I beg to differ. I'm staring at a whole bunch of scorpions, which is one of the main reasons why I wouldn't want to base up in this grotto. Because I don't really want to wake up with scorpions stinging me. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a bad time to me. Like, extraordinarily bad time to me. There's also another mechanic at play that is... Well, I'll get to it in a bit. So let's go ahead and construct this bed. Done. And then go to sleep for 6 hours or more. So I'm going to go to sleep for 6. Because I don't have a lot of food in me, I won't regen a lot of health. So maybe what I want to do before I go to sleep is to forage around for a little bit of food so that I go to sleep with a slightly more filled stomach. So what I just did just now is took one of the stones that I scavenged from initially, and I created a little cutter tool. And I'm going to go up to this coconut tree and grab the ripe coconut from it. All of these actions that I'm taking right now have a chance to wound me because I'm doing it in the dark. I also figure I might add. Alright, so there was the ripe coconut from that coconut tree. The reason I didn't take the other coconut is the green coconuts don't have any meat in them. They're just for drinking. So I'm going to see if I can't scavenge one more ripe coconut somewhere on the beach. And that way I have enough food in me that, like, going to sleep will actually be recuperative. Which is my goal. Yeah, here we are. Okay, now let's sleep for 6 hours or more. And down here you can see the weather, so it's currently clear. The wind, and then like the day-night cycle. There we go. Alright, check the map on the wall and take the letter. So there's a whole bunch of things in here that we have to check. But here's the letter. So here's the region map. I was not destined to complete a map of the local seas, but it may come in handy to find the place where the Santiago sank. Not far from the island. Perhaps there is something useful still there. And then here is the Island of Hope. Ponce de Leon marked the appropriate location, approximate location of 2 water sources on the map, the coastal grotto, and the place where he lost the spyglass. The caption says that the spyglass remains in the place where fireflies are visible at night.
Our captain, Juan Ponce de Leon, also survived the shipwreck. Sea currents brought him to this same island just a bit earlier before my awakening. He located the grotto and made it his temporary shelter. Then he started to act quickly and decisively. After building up the temporary camp, the captain began to explore the island. He named it the Island of Hope. During another trip, He heard distant cannon shots. It was a signal from one of our ships. The captain left this note, then hurriedly packed up and sailed toward the sound of the cannon fire. He was in a rush to help his crew. Running quickly, he forgot his spyglass on the other side of the island. If I find it, I will be able to look around the island.
I'm not going to go through every journal entry, as it would take a very long time to get through them all. But the cutscenes will give you the gist of what's going on. This one, however, is important. I'm leaving this bottle of living water, so that the person who finds it can restore their health if they are shipwrecked. Good luck to you, friend. So living water is like a healing potion, where it like is a cure-all, and it's very powerful and important not to misuse. Alright, the next task is to craft leaf clothing so I don't get sunburns. So as you can see, there are tons of recipes here that are now known. And I'm going to make a leaf hat. Actually, let's stand out in the sun a little bit so that I'm not in the dark and can craft a little bit more safely. There's the leaf hat. And leaf cape. I would need more narrow leaves for. Leaf skirt. And leaf shoes. So let's get some more narrow leaves for the leaf skirt, or leaf cape. And this will protect me from sun exposure, from sunburns and the like. And gives me a little bit of, well, some basic clothing. The other thing I'd like to make, even though the tutorial doesn't necessarily tell me to, is a belt. Because that will give me another slot for tools. So I need 3 more of the narrow leaves. I'll just take 4. And to craft at least 2 of these ropes, but I'm going to craft 3 of them. And then for the belt, I need a regular workbench. Craft 2 open green coconuts. So I have 1 in my inventory here. And I'm going to eat it because I have space for the water. And then we'll go over to this coconut tree right here to craft the other one. And the tools to be able to get the ripe coconuts is the cutter tool. Alright, get 70 or more food level. So I'm at 53 right now. The easiest way to do this is ripe coconuts, because I don't have a campfire on this island yet. So let's just grab some ripe coconuts real quick, just to fulfill this requirement. And then you guys will decide what I do after that. With that said, probably getting some basic shelter is the most obvious. As soon as food and water, you know, if you think of your hierarchy of needs, food or water, then food, then shelter, tends to be the order. I have 30 out of 40 carry weight, so I'm also fairly encumbered, and I gotta be a little bit careful about how much more stuff I pick up, because I don't want to be encumbered, because I don't really have anywhere to put stuff yet. Hi, crabs. Your food. Last I checked. So here's 1 crab down. And let's try to hunt maybe 2 crabs before I go for cooking them. There's also coconut palms and date palms here. So date palms is another really good way to get food. So I will harvest the dates from that tree and the ripe coconut from that one. Alright, food's at 73. Craft a steamed leaf bandage. So these bandages allow you to bandage yourselves when you have open wounds. There's a bunch of different medical conditions that you can be saddled with. So there are sicknesses, there are cuts, there are poisonings, there are burns, and the most common, or one of the most common, would just be regular old cuts. So we want to craft bandages for those types of cuts. And I think I want to craft a campfire that has stones around it. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to scavenge up the right stones from this cave. So I might need to go where there are stones for me to collect. So there's a whole bunch of different types of fires. The simple stick fires that I made back on the starter island are great, but they don't really they don't offer you the ability to do a whole lot of cooking on them, as there aren't stones to set food on that would act as a cooking surface. Can you start wildfires? No, you cannot, thankfully. Alright, there is an enemy ahead. This is one of the easiest enemies to defeat. It's a little short-eared dog, and it's going to become food soon. It did nip me once, but it doesn't do a ton of damage, unlike some of the other enemies that you can find in the game. The materials I've been collecting have been leveling me up, so that's worth showing you. There is skills, and as you skill up in certain things, like mapping, or gathering, or farming, or strength, or athletics, you become better at those things, and then there are also skill books to read that unlocks special abilities for said skill. So giving you, for instance, you can find a skill book for strength, where in reading it, it gives you the ability to carry more than just one log at a time. Okay, so I am starting a campfire that actually has stones around it. All the stones that I collected actually encumbered me, so I have to build the campfire right where you saw me put it. And it's becoming nightfall again, so I'm probably going to want to get this campfire going sooner than later. Can I not use the campfire in the cave? I don't believe it's a working campfire. I think it's a destroyed campfire, like not a non-functional one. I could be wrong about that, but I'm already this far along in the process. Shouldn't be too much challenge. All right. Let's stick the tinder in. Didn't light. Let's go ahead and find some... some additional... You know, I don't even need tinder. Come on, you can start it. There we go. So here is the leaf bandage. It's 2 wide leaves and a narrow leaf. And then we can also cook the dog, short-eared dog that I killed. And also, this is a processed scorpion venom, which helps with poisonings. And cook the crab that I had before. I'm going to add a little bit more fuel to this fire. I'm going to craft some more mapping charcoals. And more curatives. Tutorial's complete. Alright. I am going to extinguish this fire and then physically move it. So you can move anything that you've constructed, and I'm just moving it over back towards the beach. Is there a map? Yes, but you have to make the map. Okay, first poll of the stream. Here it is, pretty straightforward. Vote for the priority. So, improve gear, weapons, armor, medicine, boat, Improve the base, machines, storage, structure. In this case, it would be structure, actually building a base. Explore, which would be mapping or working on a mission. So there are some other ways to level up that I wanted to show you. So in your journal, or in your character tab here, you have main and side missions. So the Forgotten Spyglass is the main story, and the mapping the Island of Hope is the side story. And there are rewards for completing these. And then you also have survival tasks, like making a date palm juice collector, or making a coconut rain water collector, or making flint, or building walls. And these will give you survival points. And often doing the side missions here will give you survival points as well. And what those survival points allows you to do is it allows you to unlock very special skills. So the ones that I'm going to unlock first are the learning skills that allow you to level up faster. And then probably second are the concentration skills, which are really good for finding things and hunting and defending yourself. But getting skill points can make your character a whole lot stronger a lot quicker. And as you can see, there are tons of things that I can craft right now with all the resources I've found. About base locations, to just theory craft here. So what you're going to need most when you're building a base is access to wood, primarily, which is to say palm trees and the like that you can cut down. And then secondarily, I would also say access to the water. So here is the big map. We're here in the Island of Hope. So this is there's 3 layers of maps. So this is the local map, where we've actually charted out the resources. Here's the regional map. So you have the Island of Hope, you have a shipwreck over here, and then you have all these little islands, and then some sort of unknown island chain to the north. And then this is the big map with the regions. So there's a whole bunch of different regions in this map, and you unlock them, little spoiler, but you unlock them like from top and then clockwise in terms of difficulty. So we're right now in the bird region, and this is these 4 other different regions have other islands. So there's a lot to explore. So it looks like we are going to be building up basic shelter. That's works for me. And there's a few different things that we want to do with that. So one is we probably want to get a regular workbench. So regular workbench is going to allow us to craft a whole lot of things, as will a carpentry workbench. So a carpentry workbench requires a log cut from a tree, and the regular workbench requires long sticks, liana rope, and small sticks. These are also not things to do at night, unless you have a source of illumination. So, going into the tools here, if I take a look at the tools that I have access to, we have a primitive torch that I can craft. And I just hurt myself trying to make a torch. Figures, right? So let's try to make that torch again. But before I do that, because at the top left, as you can see, I have an open wound. That's what that little slice is. So I have a minor cut, and it's reducing my maximum stamina, and it's lowering my stats, and that's because it's dark. So doing anything in the dark has a chance for injury, which is why, in the attempt to make a torch, I cut myself. There is some sources of like eternal light on the island that you can use to negate the darkness. And you could certainly base your base up around those sources of light. I'm actually heading to one now to demonstrate. But I wouldn't necessarily... It's very easy to illuminate your base, so I don't think it's necessary to base around, like, eternal light sources. It's completely unnecessary, in my opinion. But here is one such lamp that never goes out. So I'm going to hit spacebar on the steamed leaf bandage, and that cures the minor cut, and also regens a little bit of health. And then let's go ahead and try to make the torch again. But now there isn't a injury chance because the torch that I made in light, so there wasn't a fail to it. Now I think this fire, I could be wrong, but I think this fire doesn't allow me to ignite my torch. But there we go. Now I have a little torch here. I have a primitive torch that I can bring around with me. But I wasn't actually planning on running around with a torch lit. I just wanted to demonstrate that if you were crafting or building and you weren't tired and it was dark out, you can light up a torch and then start building things with the torch lit in like an offhand. So that you can progress through the game, you know, even if things aren't illuminated. Oh, so I was wrong. This campfire with stones would have been functional. I just, like, made my own. Oh, well. Alright, so I'm going to sleep a little bit because my character is mightily sleepy. Thank you for tuning in to Survival Fountain of Youth, which originally streamed live on Twitch September 17th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind I'm trying to avoid spoilers in the comments, so don't spoil anything. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow survivors.